So now I want to talk about what I do at the beginning of a track. So most of the times I always start with a kick and then the claps and then the bass. And recently I'm using the kick plugin a lot, which is from Sonic Academy itself. And the nice thing about this kick plugin is that it sounds fantastically low frequency wise standardly. So most of the times I'm using the default kick that comes up when you start the plugin, and the only thing I do is playing around with the click function a little bit. So you can mute clicks here, and you can adjust the volume here, and you can also select other presets of clicks. And of course, in this plugin, you can adjust the pitch of the kick within this section. You can adjust the length of the kick. You can do whatever you like with this kick, and it really sounds amazing, including drive and distortion. So in this case, let me play the kick for you. I use the Heads 03 click sample on there, but as you can see, you can select other heads as well. It all depends on what you want to hear. So in this case, I used 03. You can also adjust the volume. So now I left it here. Perfect. Okay, so what I also did with this kick was adjusting the distortion just a little. If you overdo it, you can hear it's not going to sound nice. So without is a little bit cleaner. So I use it like this. And also the drive amount is pretty high because it sounds like this without. Very clean and maybe a little bit thin. You know, it depends on how you mix it in your mixer, but for now, for this kick, for this project, this sounds clean. So I decided to put it up like this. So, and with this plugin, you know, you can do tons of things. Like you have so much different kicks, so much different settings. You can do so much with it. For me, this is the best one at the moment. So on top of this kick, I wanted to have a little more aggressive tone to it. So I used another kick attack sample. Just a small one, as you can hear. So layered together, it sounds like this. Okay, so next to this comes the claps. So normally I have one clap for the mid section, one clap for like a reverb or more like an atmospheric feel to the claps, and I have another claps most of the times which sounds more acoustic, more like a snare. And if I find it needed, I can use a claps loop from my own sample pack from M Audio or for Tour Room, whatever kind of sample pack you have from me. So most of the times together with these elements, a clap can sound amazing. So let me show you. So this one here is for the mid section. And as you can hear in the back, I add a little bit of delay on there, which is set really long release wise. So this gives us a nice spacey effect for me. So on top of this mid clap section, I wanted to have more like a reverb sounding sample on there. So I've chosen for a cowbell rim sounding thing with a lot of reverb on there. Really low in the back, not too harsh, just to give it more space. And on top of this, I've chosen for a more snare kind of clap. So it gives it more this aggressive feel, you know. So it's and this sounds nice already, but like I mentioned, I'm missing some kind of a Amesz loop on there, you know. So although I did those samples myself, it's still nice to grab them in my own projects, you know. So you probably recognize this loop. I used it in Like It Deep as well, which was released on Touring Records. But you know, this is a loop I'm always referring to a lot of times. So all together it sounds like this. And now we have this in place. It's time for a bass line. So I mix the bass line always with the claps muted. And most of the times I have a bass layer there, which is more for the sub feel, you know, like the 40, 50, 60 hertz region, and I have one for the oomph, you know, more like the 100 to 150 hertz region. So let me show you how it sounds. I'm starting with the 150 150 hertz region. So it sounds like this. As you can see, those are just samples. Like all the beat elements you hear, they're just samples. It's all audio. That's the way I work. You can also work with stuff like battery from Native Instruments. You know, those drum computer machines. They're very handy as well. But this is just the way I work. This is how I'm used to working. You know, Cubase is really easy to work with when you want to cut samples and, you know, work with them like this. You know, you can see the waves in here and do whatever tricks you want with the samples. So this was the first bass element, and now I needed some sub feel bass line as well, and it sounds like this. And as you can hear, I didn't put it out mono because, you know, and the whole feel of the track, I find that this low-end bass line had to be open. So it's really there, you know. This was the basic part of the beat, you know, the basic part of the track actually. So that's why I decided to keep it open. So everything together sounds like this now. So when I have this done, in whatever kind of track, in whatever style, you know, it's time to do the first adjustments on the master bus. I always do this because this is the basic part of the track, and the claps and the kicks and everything, those are the highest peaks in the track. So when you have this done, for me it works best to adjust the master bus. So compared to what I explained in the basic template section, I added some extra plugins here, as you can see. So this one is still there, it's untouched, and in between the Pultec and the Teletronics I used a Studio EQ plugin, and it comes standard with Cubase, and it's really precise, and you just have to trust your ears on this. There are no rules for me how I set these things. It's just what I hear in the track. If I find it a little bit too MIDI, you know, like the claps are too MIDI together with the hi-hats and everything, I'm just like lowering down the 2 kilohertz region. And sometimes I raise the EQ on the 500 hertz region a little bit to give it a more pumping feel. And with this kind of bass lines and the pretty adjusted low frequency on the kick from the kick plugin from Sonic Academy, I had to choose for a little less low end in this section here, from like 20 to 30 hertz. But again, you know, that's just what you hear, what you want to adjust yourself, what sounds comfortable to you. And here's the limiter, like I told you, and all together it works like this. You know, like I told you, I'm not going to let this thing work too hard, you know. It's always like -1 or in between the -1 or -2, and whatever compressor you're using, it's always the same story for me. Don't let it compress too hard, you know. So from here it goes into the Q, Studio Q. It's not doing too much red damage, as you can see. And then we have the Pultec plugin, and for this particular track I've chosen to cut it to and boost it to 2 on the 100 hertz region on the Pultec Legacy plugin, and I did the same with the high end on 16 hertz, which is the highest frequency the human ear can hear actually. So without these plugins, it sounds like this. It sounds really thin. So let me show you what it sounds like if every plugin is turned on separately. So without it sounds like this. When I turn on this one, it sounds a little tighter already, but not too much, just a little. Then the Studio EQ boost comes in, and it sounds like this. Without this. With like this. Gives it a more pumping feel. And the same goes for the Pultec EQ. Without it sounds like this. With it sounds like this. Gives it a slightly more aggressive feel. And a little warmer as well. So last but not least, it's the limiter. It's right there. Without it sounds like this, and with it sounds like this. Way louder. And at the end, as you can see, I have a spectrum analyzer here, and I know what frequencies or what it needs to look like, you know, where it needs to hit the -10 point at 50 hertz, 100 hertz, 200 hertz. I think you know how a frequency analyzer works, but this is what I always have at the end of the master bus chain. So this is the first part of making a track for me. And I'm gonna see you in the next chapter. Bye.
Thanks everybody for watching, commenting, and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.